Gazas and Israelis woke to the news of the first phase of the Trump peace deal having been accepted. Now, Israel's cabinet will hold a vote today on the peace plan, and if it agrees, then it will have 24 hours to withdraw its troops, kicking off a 72-hour window in which Hamas may release the remaining hostages. The U.S. says it expects the release of the 20 hostages to begin on Monday, but Hamas may move to release them earlier. Reactions have been coming out of Gaza and Israel. Dr. Ori Goldberg, a political commentator on the Middle East, now joins us virtually. Dr. Goldberg, good afternoon, and thank you for joining us on Africa Update.
Good afternoon, Lulu. Thank you for having me.
Now, President Trump has been seen or is being seen as the hero in this, but is he really the hero?
Not necessarily a hero. The deal that Trump has pushed through has been a deal that was on the table for months and months. And Trump has also been under immense pressure from the Arab monarchies in the Persian Gulf and from various other elements around the world who have found the political resolve necessary to stand up to Israel. Trump has shown a good sense of timing here. There's no doubt, but I don't think he's a hero. I think what makes me cautiously optimistic about the success of this deal is that a lot of powerful players have their personal interests converging on this deal. Trump has many personal interests in this deal, as does Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, as do the leaders of the Arab monarchies. None of them care a fig about the Palestinians.
Now, with regards to the Palestinians, and are they're saying that they are relieved and optimistic, as well as excited and happy, and hope to be able to return to their homes. But is this likely to take place in the near future? I mean, with what the visuals that we've seen of what has happened over a period of time is it's quite worrying or quite scary.
You're being you're using understatement. They don't have homes. About 80% of all the structures in the Gaza Strip have been destroyed. Any home they will return to will at best be a camp established especially for their needs as the strip is being reconstructed. I understand and value and am happy with their happiness and wish them at the very least some silence over the next few days, but this is only the beginning of a very long process which will be obfuscated and disturbed by all the powerful players who are engaged in it. And again, the interest of the Palestinians is not the interest of the great majority of players who are involved in this process right now. Everybody's trying to score some points and to win various games. Hopefully, the Palestinians can negotiate their plight and find their way successfully, but this is only the beginning.
Now, with you mentioned the fact that everyone is trying to score points and take away something positive for themselves away from this. Let's take a look at what some of those involved had to say. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu said it was a great day for Israel. U.S. President Donald Trump said it was a great day for the Arab and Muslim world. And Hamas said the people of Gaza demonstrated unmatched courage, honor, and heroism. Now, what do you make of these statements by the role players?
I think that's the only thing they could say. How could Netanyahu say something like Israel has failed abjectly in all of its own self-defined war goals? He couldn't. He has to spin this as some sort of victory. How could Netanyahu say nobody has any knowledge of the whereabouts of at least 10 corpses of hostages because we bombed Gaza into complete rubble, and they are buried beneath that rubble. The same goes for Hamas, who is generally reviled by Gazans in the Strip, and of course, the same goes for President of the United States, who has been under immense pressure from the Gulf monarchies and other Arab political entities. Everybody needs to spin this as a win, and in many ways, it is. But, hopefully, it hasn't happened yet. Hopefully, when this deal is signed, the killing will stop. The actual slaughter will, at the very least, cease. And the level of destruction, the level of death is such in Gaza that that is a blessed development. And anything that comes from that, we can be hopeful about it, but all of us should be happy that Israel is not killing Palestinians on a daily basis as it has done every day for the past 2 years.
Now, just for interest's sake, what is more than likely to happen when it comes to the rebuilding of the homes that were lost and just starting from scratch? Because now it must be avoided. Well, it won't be avoided initially with regards to whether they use tents and things like that for people to have, covers over their heads or roofs over their heads. But just the rebuilding of homes of the Palestinians in Gaza. How long do you think of it will take, and where's the money going to come from?
Those are all very good questions. If Gaza is truly to undergo reconstruction, it will take years and years, likely no less than a decade. Where's the money to come from? From whoever is willing to pay. I would assume again that the leaders of the Gulf monarchies are going to be prime funders. I would also assume that the international community, as represented by the United Nations and other organizations, will also pay for certain aspects. And I will assume that certain countries who have commercial interests, like China, for example, and Turkey, both countries that excel at large-scale infrastructure projects, will be only too happy to supply the labor for a lengthy period of time and reap the financial benefits. I think this will have to be a combination of interest and morality, if you will. But I think it's sure the reconstruction of Gaza as part of a larger process of which South Africa is a leader, a process of ending Israel's occupation of the Palestinian territories and of acknowledging Palestinian sovereignty. I think the political, the financial, the commercial, and the personal will all be closely tied in those.
Now, Israel's Defense Forces says that it has begun operational preparations ahead of the implementation of the agreement. Now, could this signify that cabinet will accept the deal and things will get moving, or are we expected to perhaps see another hiccup? Are they going to sign on the dotted line?
I have no doubt that they will sign the dotted line, if only because the Israeli cabinet is just about wholly personally indentured to Prime Minister Netanyahu, and signing the deal is in Prime Minister Netanyahu's direct interest. If he signs the deal, he will be the Prime Minister who fought the difficult war, but also signed the difficult peace. And assuming there will be a snap election called in Israel over the past several months, this will allow him to present himself as the complete candidate who is already, by definition, better than any of his would-be competitors who all agree with him and who have done nothing of the sort. So the entire cabinet is there because, at the pleasure of Netanyahu, not constitutionally, personally. So I have no doubt they will sign the dotted line. I even believe Minister Smotrich and Ben-Gvir will not necessarily leave government, and even if Smotrich does, Ben-Gvir will stay.
Now, according to David Satterfield, a former U.S. Special Envoy for the Middle East humanitarian issues, the deal is an extraordinary first step, but there is a lot more work to be done. This is before a lasting resolution in Gaza will be found. Now, while we are celebrating the first phase of this peace deal, it is only the beginning. What more could we expect from the talks in Egypt?
It is very much only the beginning. And it's very difficult to know what to expect. I doubt we can expect a great deal in the mid to long term from the talks in Egypt. I think what we will see is a gradual incremental framework where each step is guaranteed by the completion of the previous one. What I think is most crucial is doing away with the not silly, the brazen idea of a board of government headed by Tony Blair and Jared Kushner and allowing Palestinian representation that will be aided by Israel releasing several prominent Palestinian political persons like Marwan Barghouti, who could lead the Palestinian factions in united form. Again, Israel will try its best to disrupt and obfuscate, but Israel is weaker now than it was 6 months ago. Probably as weak as I remember it. Israel can kill many Palestinians, but it has lost the power to shape the dynamic of events. So what we will see really can change on a daily basis and is up to the new dynamic where Israel is not the sole sovereign that will take shape in the negotiating rooms.
Well, Dr. Goldberg, it was a pleasure chatting to you. Thank you so much for joining us. We are going to leave it there for today.
Thank you for having me.
That's Dr. Ori Goldberg, a political commentator on the Middle East, joining us on the line.
Je, una jambo lolote akilini mwako? Je, una shauku kuhusu